The moon hung low over the crumbling estate, its pale light filtering through the dense fog that clung to the ancient trees. The manor, abandoned for decades, had grown a sinister reputation in the nearby village. Locals spoke in hushed tones about strange cries echoing through the night, shadows that moved against the wind, and the eerie feeling that someone, or something, was always watching. Eleanor, a young historian with a fascination for the supernatural, arrived in the village one chilly evening. She had read about the manor in a collection of old diaries, each recounting tales of madness and tragedy. The allure of uncovering the truth was irresistible. She carried only a lantern, a notebook, and a relentless curiosity that would soon lead her into darkness beyond imagination. As she approached the manor's iron gates, the air grew colder. The hinges groaned under their own weight as she pushed them open, stepping onto the overgrown path. Her lantern flickered, casting ghostly shapes onto the walls of the mansion. A chill ran down her spine, but she pressed forward, determined to enter the heart of the forgotten estate. The main hall welcomed her with the scent of decay and the echo of her own footsteps. Dust floated like specters in the lantern's glow, and the grand chandelier above swayed, as if stirred by unseen hands. Eleanor's gaze fell upon a portrait of a stern man whose eyes seemed almost alive. She felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to step closer, and the air thickened around her. As she explored, the manor seemed to come alive. Soft whispers rose from the walls, indecipherable at first, but gradually forming words that chilled her to the bone. "Leave, before it awakens," the voices urged. Eleanor's pen trembled as she wrote down every word. Though fear gnawed at her mind, she was not alone. Something watched her from the shadows, moving with patience and malice. Hours passed. Or was it minutes? Time seemed meaningless within the manor's oppressive walls. Eleanor's lantern dimmed, and in the darkness, she glimpsed a figure at the edge of her vision, a woman in tattered clothing, eyes hollow and sorrowful. The figure's lips moved silently, mouthing a warning, yet Eleanor could not hear her. When she turned fully, the figure vanished, leaving behind a cold draught and the faint scent of roses mixed with decay. She descended a narrow staircase into the cellar. Drawn by a strange pull, she could neither explain nor resist. The air grew thick, suffocating, and the walls seemed to breathe. Shadows clung to the corners, twisting into grotesque shapes. At the center of the cellar lay an old wooden chest, bound with iron chains. Something inside it whispered her name. Heart pounding, Eleanor opened it and found a collection of journals, each detailing the horrors inflicted upon the family that had once lived there. The entries spoke of a dark ritual, a curse that had bound the souls of the manor's residents to the house, trapping them for eternity. One name appeared repeatedly: Alistair Gray, the patriarch who had summoned something beyond human comprehension. Eleanor felt a sudden pull from behind, a cold hand gripping her shoulder. She spun around, but the room was empty, except for the whispers that now screamed in her ears, filling her mind with visions of fire, blood, and shadows that consumed everything. Suddenly, the lantern went out. Eleanor was plunged into darkness. Panic surged as she fumbled to relight it, but her hands trembled uncontrollably. In the blackness, the whispers became voices, clear and insistent. "Join us, forever." She could feel cold fingers brushing her skin, tugging at her, pulling her toward the chest. With a desperate burst of courage, she slammed the chest shut and ran, stumbling up the stairs and into the hall. The air seemed heavier with each step, the walls pressing in and the shadows reaching for her. Eleanor's mind screamed for reason, but every instinct told her she would not leave unscathed. She reached the front doors, flung them open, and ran into the foggy night. Behind her, the manor exhaled, a sound like 1,000 trapped souls screaming at once. She did not look back, but the whispers followed her, fading only when she reached the safety of the village. Eleanor never spoke of what she saw in the manor, but the journals she had taken told a story that no historian could ignore. The curse was real, and the manor was alive, hungering for those who dared uncover its secrets. The villagers warned her never to return, yet she could not escape the feeling that she had brought something back with her, something patient, watching, waiting. Days turned into weeks, yet Eleanor could not shake the whispers. At night, they grew louder, more insistent. Shadows seemed to dance in her peripheral vision, and doors creaked open by themselves. She tried to rationalize it as paranoia, but when she awoke to find a pale, skeletal handprint on her bedroom wall, she realized the manor's influence had followed her. Determined to confront it, Eleanor returned to the village, seeking answers from the oldest residents. They spoke of a hidden chamber in the manor, sealed for centuries, where the ritual had begun. It was said that anyone who entered without proper protection would become a vessel for the darkness trapped within. Eleanor's heart raced. She knew she had to go back. Fear was no longer an option. She had disturbed forces that demanded resolution. Armed with protective charms, salt, and ancient texts, Eleanor returned to the manor under the cover of night. The fog was thicker this time, swirling like living mist. As she approached the entrance, the iron gates slammed shut behind her with a deafening clang. The whispers surged, almost triumphant, as if aware of her return. Inside, the manor's corridors seemed to twist and shift. Rooms appeared where none should be, and the air grew colder with each step. Eleanor found herself before a door she had never seen, carved with runes that pulsed faintly with an inner light. She opened it, revealing the hidden chamber. The walls were lined with mirrors, each reflecting not her image, but the tormented faces of those who had perished within the manor. In the center stood a pedestal, upon which lay a blackened book bound in human skin. Eleanor's hand trembled as she reached for it. The whispers became a roar, screaming her name, urging her to stop. But curiosity overcame fear. She opened the book, and the room seemed to collapse inward, shadows erupting from the mirrors and coiling around her limbs. Visions flooded her mind. Alistair Gray performing the ritual, the summoning of a being that devoured souls, the eternal torment of the manor's residents. Eleanor realized the truth. The manor was not haunted. It was alive, feeding on human fear, perpetuating the curse. Escape seemed impossible. Summoning all her strength, Eleanor recited the protective incantations from the texts. A blinding light erupted from the book, and the shadows recoiled, screaming in rage. The mirrors cracked, shattering one by one, and the chamber trembled as if the manor itself were writhing in agony. When the light faded, Eleanor found herself lying in the courtyard, the first rays of dawn breaking over the fog. The manor loomed behind her, silent and still, yet she knew it had not been destroyed. The evil remained, dormant but patient, waiting for the next curious soul. Eleanor returned to her life, but the experience had changed her. She published her findings, warning the world of the manor's dangers, yet she could not silence the whispers that haunted her dreams. They spoke of unfinished business, of a promise she had made by returning the book. And at night, when the wind blew through the trees, she could swear she saw a figure standing at her window, watching, waiting. Time passed, but Eleanor's obsession with the manor only grew. She studied the journals endlessly, searching for a way to end the curse, once and for all. One stormy night, driven by both desperation and defiance, she returned again, determined to confront the darkness fully. This time, the manor greeted her like a predator acknowledging a challenge. Doors slammed open on their own, shadows danced like flames along the walls, and the whispers were louder than ever, merging into a single voice. "You belong to us now." Eleanor stepped forward, reciting the incantations with unwavering resolve. The air shimmered as the manor resisted, testing her will. Shadows lunged, mirrors shattered, and the very ground seemed to twist beneath her feet. She clutched the blackened book and commanded the darkness to leave, her voice echoing with authority she never knew she possessed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deafening roar, the shadows screamed and recoiled, retreating into the walls. The house shuddered, and the oppressive weight lifted, leaving Eleanor gasping for air. The curse had weakened, but she knew it would never truly end. The manor had survived centuries. It would survive her. Eleanor left at dawn, the first true light she had seen in the manor's presence. She never returned, but she carried the knowledge and the terror with her. And somewhere, in the depths of that ancient estate, the whispers waited, patient and eternal, promising that one day they would claim her again. The village remained wary, the legend growing with each retelling. And Eleanor, despite all her bravery, could never escape the shadows of the forgotten manor.